The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Council chamber stretched high above like a frozen ocean wave. Inside this grand hall, representatives from hundreds of worlds sat in their assigned seats. The air hummed with translation devices working overtime to convert alien languages into understandable words. Kim Dae-ho stood alone in the center of the chamber. His simple black suit looked plain compared to the elaborate robes and armor worn by the alien delegates around him. The human representative kept his hands clasped behind his back as he waited for the session to begin. Sweat formed on his forehead despite the cool temperature inside the dome. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the chamber. Chancellor Rick Stell of the Vorthok Empire walked down the central aisle. His reptilian scales gleamed under the bright lights. Each step he took made a sharp clicking sound on the crystal floor. The Chancellor's yellow eyes focused on Kim Dae-ho with obvious disgust. "The session will now begin," Rick Stell announced in his deep, rumbling voice. "Today we address the matter of Earth and its continued defiance of galactic law." Kim Dae-ho felt hundreds of alien eyes turned toward him. Some delegates leaned forward in their seats to get a better look. Others whispered among themselves in languages that sounded like grinding metal or flowing water queen. Zilara of the hive mind rose from her section. Her insect-like body stood over 8 feet tall. Multiple arms moved in complex patterns as she spoke. "The humans have ignored 3 separate warnings about their military activities. They continue to build weapons despite our clear instructions to remain peaceful. Their technology is primitive," added Sherduan of the Nexari. The crystalline being's voice created musical tones that the translators converted into words. "Yet they persist in their foolish attempts to match our advanced civilizations." Kim Dae-ho cleared his throat. "Honored delegates, Earth has always sought peaceful relations with all species. We have followed every trade agreement and respected all territorial boundaries." Chancellor Rickstell's laugh sounded like rocks grinding together. "Peaceful? Your species has been caught building military vessels in secret. Our scouts have detected new construction in your orbital shipyards. Those are cargo ships and research vessels," Kim Dae-ho replied calmly. "We have provided complete technical specifications to your inspectors." "Lies," hissed Queen Zilara. Her mandibles clicked rapidly. "The hive mind has analyzed your vessel designs. They contain weapon mounting points and reinforced hulls designed for combat." Several other delegates began speaking at once. Their voices created a chaotic mix of sounds that made the translation devices struggle to keep up. Kim Dae-ho waited patiently for the noise to die down. "Ambassador." The Krun of the brutal clans slammed his massive fist on his chair's armrest. "Why waste time with words? The humans are weak, their ships are slow, and their weapons are basic. One of our destroyers could defeat their entire fleet." "The brutal clans speak truth," agreed General Vextar of the Iron Legion. "Human technology is centuries behind our own. Still use chemical rockets and metal hulls. Their computers are so primitive they require human operators." Kim Dae-ho felt anger rising in his chest, but kept his expression neutral. "We may not have the most advanced technology, but we have something else. We have determination and the will to protect our home." This statement caused another wave of laughter throughout the chamber. Several delegates made sounds that their translators interpreted as amusement or mockery. "Chancellor," Rickstell raised his hand for silence. "The human speaks of determination. How quaint." "Determination will not protect your world when our fleets arrive." "Your fleets?" Kim Dae-ho asked. "Yes, human. The Galactic Council has voted. Earth will surrender all military assets within 72 hours. You will dismantle your orbital defenses and ground your entire fleet. Your world will be placed under Council protection." Kim Dae-ho felt his heart racing, "And if we refuse, then your species will learn what happens to those who defy the Council," Rickstell replied. His yellow eyes gleamed with anticipation. "The Vorthok Empire has been chosen to enforce this decision. My ships are already moving toward your primitive solar system." Queen Zilara's multiple arms gestured excitedly. "The hive mind calculates a 97% probability that humans will surrender immediately. They are not stupid enough to fight against impossible odds." "Their courage will not matter," added Sherduan. "The Nexari have analyzed human psychology. They will choose survival over pride." Kim Dae-ho looked around the chamber. He saw no friendly faces among the alien delegates. Some looked bored, as if this was just another routine matter. Others seemed eager to see what would happen next. "I request permission to consult with Earth's leadership," Kim Dae-ho said formally. Chancellor Rixdell nodded. "Granted. You have 72 hours to deliver your world's surrender. Use this time wisely, human. Consider what is best for your species." The session ended with the sound of the great crystal gong. Delegates began filing out of the chamber, many of them still discussing the human problem in their alien languages. Kim Dae-ho remained standing in the center of the room until most of the aliens had left. As he walked toward the exit, Kim Dae-ho overheard several conversations. The delegates spoke about humans like they were discussing an interesting but ultimately harmless animal. Some made jokes about human stubbornness. Others wondered if humans would put up any fight at all. Outside the chamber, Kim Dae-ho found his escort waiting. The robotic guide led him through the station's corridors toward the docking bay where his ship waited. Along the way, he passed windows that showed the vast emptiness of space beyond. In the distance, he could see the massive shapes of alien warships. These vessels were enormous compared to anything humans had built. Some were the size of cities, bristling with weapons and armor. The sight of them made Kim Dae-ho's stomach tighten with worry. At the docking bay, Kim Dae-ho paused before boarding his ship. He activated his communication device and sent a coded message to Earth. The message contained only 3 words, but they carried enormous weight. "The storm comes." As his ship undocked from the station, Kim Dae-ho looked back at the Galactic Council headquarters. The alien delegates had no idea what they had just set in motion. They saw humans as primitive and weak, but they were about to learn how wrong they were. The journey back to Earth would take 18 hours. Kim Dae-ho used this time to prepare his report and think about what came next. In 72 hours, everything would change. The galaxy was about to discover that humans had been keeping secrets. Very big secrets. The transport submarine moved silently through the dark waters of the Pacific Ocean. Kim Dae-ho sat in the passenger compartment watching the depth gauge climb as they descended deeper. 2 miles down, then 3, then 4. The pressure outside would crush any normal vessel, but this submarine was built for much greater depths. Approaching facility entrance, the pilot announced through the intercom, "Prepare for docking procedures." Kim Dae-ho pressed his face against the small window. In the distance, he could see lights appearing in the blackness. As they drew closer, the lights revealed the outline of something massive. The entrance to the underwater facility looked like the mouth of a giant whale. The submarine slid smoothly into the docking bay. Water drained away as massive doors sealed behind them. Kim Dae-ho felt the familiar sensation of artificial gravity taking hold. Within minutes, he was breathing normal air again. Director Park Min-ho waited for him at the airlock. The older man's face showed the strain of the past few hours. His usually neat hair was disheveled, and his clothes looked like he had slept in them. "How bad is it?" Park Min-ho asked as they shook hands. "Worse than we expected," Kim Dae-ho replied. "They gave us 72 hours. The Vorthok fleet is already moving toward our system." Park Min-ho nodded grimly. "Then it's time. Follow me." They walked through corridors that stretched far into the distance. The walls were made of some kind of advanced metal that seemed to absorb light. Workers in blue uniforms moved quickly past them, carrying equipment and data tablets. Everyone looked focused and determined. "How many people know about this place?" Kim Dae-ho asked. "Less than 10,000 worldwide," Park Min-ho answered. "Everyone here has been working on the project for at least 5 years. Most have been here much longer." They entered an elevator that descended for what felt like several minutes. When the doors opened, Kim Dae-ho gasped at what he saw. The chamber ahead was enormous, easily the size of several football stadiums. The ceiling disappeared into darkness. High above, Commander Lee So-young approached them. Her military uniform was crisp and clean despite the early hour. She saluted both men before speaking. "Director, the final preparations are almost complete. All systems are showing green across the board." "Excellent," Park Min-ho replied. Commander, please brief our council representative on the current status. Lee So-young nodded and gestured for them to follow her. They walked onto a observation platform that overlooked the vast chamber below. Kim Dae-ho could see hundreds of workers moving around massive pieces of equipment. What you see here is only a small part of the Terra Defense Initiative, Lee So-young explained. This facility extends for over 200 kilometers in every direction. We've been building it for 30 years. Kim Dae-ho stared at the activity below. All of this has been hidden from the aliens. Every bit of it, Park Min-ho confirmed. While they watched our surface activities, we were working down here. The ocean floor provides perfect cover from their sensors. A young man in an engineer's uniform approached their group. His name tag read Choi Jae-won. Despite his youth, he carried himself with the confidence of someone who knew his job well. Director Park, we're ready for the final system check, Choi Jae-won reported. All manufacturing bays are online. The construction crews are standing by. Manufacturing bays? Kim Dae-ho asked. Lee So-young smiled for the first time since he had arrived. That's the beautiful part of our plan. While other species build their ships in traditional shipyards, we developed something completely different. They took another elevator deeper into the facility. This one moved horizontally as well as vertically, following tracks that curved through the underwater complex. Through the windows, Kim Dae-ho could see enormous machines working in chambers filled with bright light. The aliens think they understand human technology, Park Min-ho explained. They've studied our public ships and decided we're centuries behind them. They're not entirely wrong about our older designs, but they don't know about the new technology, Kim Dae-ho asked. They don't even know it's possible, Choi Jae-won said excitedly. We approached the problem from a completely different angle. Instead of building bigger individual ships, we created something that can build entire fleets automatically. The elevator stopped at another observation deck. This one overlooked a chamber so large that Kim Dae-ho couldn't see the far walls. In the center of the space sat something that defied easy description. It looked like a cross between a spaceship and a factory. The hull was sleek and dark, covered in what appeared to be thousands of small doors and hatches. Robotic arms moved constantly across its surface, adding new components and making adjustments. Meet the Leviathan, Lee So-young said proudly. The first and largest of Earth's mobile manufacturing platforms. Kim Dae-ho felt his jaw drop. Big is it? 12 kilometers long, 4 kilometers wide, 2 kilometers thick. Choi Jae-won rattled off the numbers. It can manufacture and deploy over 50,000 combat craft in less than 6 hours. The aliens build ships that are large and powerful, Park Min-ho added. We build ships that make other ships. They focus on individual strength. We focus on numbers and coordination. Dr. Han Yujan joined their group on the observation deck. The elderly scientist moved slowly, but her eyes were bright with excitement. She had been the chief designer of the Leviathan project from the beginning. The key breakthrough came 15 years ago, Dr. Han explained. We developed automated manufacturing systems that can adapt their output based on sensor data. Leviathan doesn't just build ships. It builds exactly the right ships for whatever situation it faces. Fighting energy weapons, it makes ships with reflective armor, Choi Jae-won continued. Facing kinetic attacks, produces craft with reactive defenses. The system learns and adapts faster than any enemy can change tactics. Kim Dae-ho walked to the railing and stared down at the massive vessel. And the aliens have no idea this exists? None at all? Lee So-young confirmed. Every piece of human technology they've examined was designed to mislead them. Our public ships use deliberately inferior components. We wanted them to underestimate us. For 30 years we've been playing the role of primitive humans. Park, Min-ho said. Every captured ship, every technical specification they've seen, every diplomatic meeting has been carefully planned to maintain the illusion. Why the deception? Kim Dae-ho asked. Why not reveal our true capabilities from the beginning? Dr. Han smiled. Because the best way to win a war is to make sure your enemy doesn't know they're in one until it's too late. Alarms began sounding throughout the facility. Workers moved with increased urgency as status lights changed from yellow to red. The final countdown had begun. How long until the Leviathan is ready for launch? Kim Dae-ho asked. 18 hours, Choi Jae-won replied. just in time for our uninvited guests to arrive. Through the observation windows, Kim Dae-ho could see the great ship beginning to move. Sections of its hull opened like flower petals, revealing the manufacturing bays within. The show was about to begin. The massive Vorthok fleet moved through space like a dark cloud of death. 300 warships arranged in perfect formation, each one bristling with weapons that could destroy entire cities. At the center of this armada floated the flagship, Worldbreaker, a vessel so large it had its own artificial gravity and weather systems. Admiral Vexmore stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical display show their approach to Earth's solar system. His scaled hands gripped the command rail as he studied the pathetic human defenses. A few orbital stations, some primitive patrol ships, and what looked like cargo vessels trying to hide behind the moon. Pitiful, he muttered to his second-in-command. How did such a weak species ever achieve spaceflight? Commander Vexguy nodded in agreement. Our sensors show their largest ship is barely 200 meters long. It could destroy their entire fleet with a single destroyer. Challenge in that? Vexmore asked. I was hoping for at least some resistance. The Council promised us a proper battle. Gosh, on Earth. Emergency broadcasts filled every communication channel. People in major cities looked up at the sky, trying to spot the alien fleet that would soon appear. Most humans had never seen a real alien warship. The images transmitted from the approaching armada left them speechless with fear. In the underwater facility, Captain Yoon Sung-min walked through the corridors of the Leviathan. His new command was unlike anything ever built by any species in the galaxy. The ship's corridors stretched for kilometers, lined with manufacturing bays that hummed with constant activity. Captain, we're receiving the final launch authorization, reported Lieutenant Bae. Soo-jin from the communication station. Yoon Sung-min nodded and activated the ship-wide intercom. All crew, this is the captain. We are about to make history. For 30 years, humanity has prepared for this moment. Today, we show the galaxy what we're really capable of. The crew of the Leviathan numbered only 5,000 people, but they controlled systems that could produce and coordinate hundreds of thousands of autonomous craft. Every person aboard had trained for years to operate the most advanced technology humanity had ever created. Begin launch sequence, Yoon Sung-min ordered. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, massive pumps began draining water from the launch chamber. The Leviathan had been constructed in a flooded cavern large enough to hold the entire vessel. Now, as the water level dropped, the ship's true size became visible for the first time. Chief Engineer Kim Hae-won monitored the launch systems from her station. Hull integrity at 100%. All manufacturing bays are online. Automated. Systems are running perfectly, reactor output, Yoon Sung-min asked. Fusion reactors are producing more power than most planets consume, Kim Hae-won replied. We could run at full capacity for 50 years without refueling. The ocean floor began to shake as the Leviathan prepared for launch. Seismic sensors around the world detected the vibrations, but scientists had no idea what was causing them. The movement was too large and too regular to be a natural earthquake. Above the surface, Pacific Ocean began to churn. Whirlpools formed in a perfect circle, 20 kilometers across. Ships in the area received emergency warnings to evacuate immediately. Whether satellites detected temperature changes as something massive disturbed the deep ocean currents, launch sequence at 50%, reported the navigation officer. All systems are functioning normally. Yoon Sung-min watched the main display as his ship prepared to rise. The Leviathan was designed to operate in space, but it was fully capable of atmospheric flight. Its hull could withstand the pressure changes and heat of launch without any external assistance. Sir, we're detecting multiple energy signatures. Approaching from the outer system, Bae Soo-jin announced. The alien fleet is beginning their final approach. Perfect timing, Yoon Sung-min said. They'll get a front row seat for our debut. On the bridge of the Worldbreaker, Admiral Vexmore was reviewing the final attack plans when his sensor operator called out an alarm. Admiral, we're detecting massive energy readings from the third planet. Something is happening in their ocean. Vexmore moved to the sensor station and studied the displays. The readings showed enormous power signatures coming from beneath Earth's surface. The energy levels were unlike anything in their databases. "What kind of power source could produce readings like this?" he asked. "Unknown, sir." "The energy output is comparable to a small star?" "Impossible. The humans don't have that kind of technology." The ocean's surface began to bulge upward as the Leviathan pushed against the water above it. The bulge grew larger and larger, creating a mountain of water that rose hundreds of meters into the air. Aircraft in the area reported seeing something. Impossible. The ocean itself was being lifted into the sky. "Launch sequence at 90%, Kim Hae-won announced. "Prepare for surface breach." The Leviathan broke through the ocean's surface like a breaching whale, but on a scale that defied comprehension. Water cascaded off its hull in torrents that created their own weather systems. The ship's emergence displaced so much water that it created tsunami warnings for every coastal city in the Pacific. Admiral Vexmore stared at his tactical display in shock. The sensor readings had to be wrong. The object rising from Earth's ocean was larger than his flagship. Much larger. "Get me a visual," he ordered. The main screen filled with an image that made every alien on the bridge fall silent. The human ship was not just large, it was massive beyond their understanding. Its hull stretched 4 kilometers in every direction, covered in what appeared to be thousands of launch bays and manufacturing ports. "How is this possible?" Commander Vexka whispered. The Leviathan completed its ascent through Earth's atmosphere, shedding the last remnants of ocean water as it reached the vacuum of space. Its hull gleamed with an inner light as power flowed through systems that had never been tested in actual combat. "All systems nominal," Kim Hae-won reported. "Beginning." Automated manufacturing sequence. Across the ship's hull, thousands of bay doors began opening. Inside each bay, robotic systems worked at incredible speed to assemble fighters, corvettes, and destroyers. The manufacturing process was so fast that new ships launched every few seconds. "Deploy the first wave," Yoon Sun Min ordered the space. Around the Leviathan began filling with smaller craft. Each one was sleek and advanced, moving with an agility that made the alien ships look clumsy by comparison. Within minutes, thousands of human vessels surrounded the massive carrier. On the Worldbreaker, alarms began sounding as the sensor operators tried to count the human ships. The numbers kept climbing: 5,000, 10,000, 15,000.
"This
is impossible," Vexmore said. "Where did they get so many ships?" "Sir, our analysis shows they're not pre-built vessels. The large ship is manufacturing them in real time." Admiral Dexmore felt fear creeping into his mind for the first time in decades. His fleet of 300 ships suddenly seemed very small compared to the swarm of craft emerging from the human carrier. "Send a message to the Council," he ordered. "Tell them we may have underestimated the humans." The Leviathan hung in space like a dark star, its hull pulsing with energy as it continued producing new ships. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had been hiding more than just advanced technology. They had been hiding a completely new way of thinking about war itself. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened in chaos. Representatives from across the galaxy filled the Great Crystal Dome, their voices creating a cacophony of alien languages that overwhelmed the translation systems. Everyone was talking at once, trying to understand what had just happened in the Sol system. Chancellor Rixtel slammed his scaled fist on the podium, demanding order. His yellow eyes blazed with fury and confusion. "Silence. All of you, silence." The massive holographic display at the center of the chamber showed live feeds from Admiral Dexmore's fleet. The images were almost impossible to believe. The human supercarrier Leviathan dominated the screen, its hull stretching across kilometers of space. Around it, thousands of smaller human craft moved in perfect formation. How is this possible? Queen Zillara's mandibles clicked rapidly in agitation. Our intelligence reports showed the humans had no such technology. Sherdun of the Nexari resonated with frequencies that translated as pure panic. The energy readings from that vessel exceed anything in our databases. It's producing power. Levels comparable to our largest space stations.
Ow.
In the Nexari home system, scientists worked frantically to analyze the data streaming in from the Sol system. Dr. Kethmoran, the galaxy's leading expert on spacecraft design, stared at his instruments. In disbelief, "This changes everything," he said to his assistants. "The humans haven't just built a large ship. They've revolutionized the entire concept of space warfare." "How so, Doctor?" asked his young assistant. "Look at these manufacturing rates, Doctor." Kethmoran pointed to his screen. "They're producing fully functional starships at a rate of 1 every 3 seconds. No civilization in galactic history has ever achieved anything close to this." Back in the council chambers, Ambassador Thokran, of the brutal clans, stood to address the assembly. His massive form cast a shadow over the nearby delegates. "The humans have made fools of us all. They pretended to be weak while building the most powerful war machine in the galaxy. Our analysts are reviewing 30 years of human interactions," reported General Vexstar of the Iron Legion. "Every ship they showed us, every technology they demonstrated, every diplomatic meeting appears to have been carefully planned to deceive us." Chancellor Rixdale's communications officer approached the podium with urgent news. "Sir, we're receiving reports from observation posts throughout the galaxy. The human emergence is being broadcast on every major news network. The holographic display changed to show news feeds from dozens of different worlds." Alien reporters spoke in excited tones as they described the unprecedented events unfolding in the Sol system. The images of the Leviathan and its growing fleet played over and over again. On the hive mind homeworld, Queen Zalara's offspring worked together to process the tactical implications. Their collective intelligence analyzed every aspect of the human supercarrier, searching for weaknesses or limitations. "The manufacturing systems appear to be fully automated," reported one of her offspring. "The humans have achieved true artificial intelligence in their production processes." "More concerning," added another, "the ships they're producing are adapting their designs based on sensor data. Each new vessel is slightly different from the last, optimized for the current tactical situation." In the Sol system, Admiral Vexmore watched his tactical display with growing alarm. The human fleet continued to grow every minute. His 300 ships now faced over 20,000 enemy vessels, and the number kept climbing. "Sir, we're receiving new orders from the Council," reported his communications officer. "What do they say?" Vexmore asked, though he dreaded the answer. "We're ordered to begin immediate negotiations with the human commander." Captain Yoon Sung-min stood on the bridge of the Leviathan, watching the alien fleet maintain its position at the edge of weapon range. His ship had now produced over 30,000 craft of various sizes, from single-pilot fighters to massive destroyers that rivaled the aliens' smaller warships. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the alien flagship," reported Lieutenant Bae Sujin. "Put it on screen," Yoon Sung-min ordered. Admiral Vexmore's reptilian face appeared on the main display. The proud Vorthok commander looked shaken and uncertain. "Human Captain, I am Admiral Dexmore of the Vorthok Empire. I request permission to speak with you regarding the current situation." "I'm listening," Admiral Yoon Sung-min replied calmly. "Your ship is impressive," Dexmore said carefully. "The Council did not inform me of your true capabilities. Perhaps we can resolve this situation without bloodshed." Chief Engineer Kim Hae-won whispered to her captain, "Sir, our sensors are detecting significant energy buildups in their weapon systems. They're preparing to attack." Yoon Sung-min nodded slightly, but kept his expression neutral.
"What do you
propose, Admiral?" "The Council is prepared to discuss new terms for Earth's membership in the galactic community. Your planet's status can be reconsidered. And if we refuse these new terms?" Yoon Sung-min asked. Dexmore's Sue's narrowed. "Then we will be forced to test your new weapons against our proven technology." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge of the Leviathan in tense silence. Everyone knew the aliens were trying to buy time while they figured out how to deal with the human supercarrier. All manufacturing bays increased production to maximum capacity. Yoon Sung-min ordered, "I want 50,000 ships ready within the hour." "Sir, the alien fleet is beginning to move," reported the tactical officer. "They're arranging themselves in attack formation." On the bridge of the Worldbreaker, Admiral Dexmore made his decision. "All ships, prepare for battle. Target the large human vessel. If we destroy their carrier, the smaller ships will be powerless. Are you sure about this? Asked Commander Vexkai. No. The Council specifically ordered us to avoid direct confrontation. The Council didn't see what we're seeing, Vexmore replied. If we let the humans keep this technology, they'll dominate the entire galaxy within a generation. The Vorthok fleet began moving toward Earth, their massive ships accelerating to attack speed. Energy weapons charged to full power as targeting. Systems locked onto the Leviathan, but Captain Yoon Sung-min was ready for them. His ship's sensors had been tracking every alien vessel since they entered the system. The Leviathan's artificial intelligence had analyzed their weapon systems, shield configurations, and tactical patterns. All human vessels implement battle. Formation Omega, Yoon Sung-min commanded. The 30,000 human ships began moving in perfect coordination. Each vessel knew exactly where it needed to be and what role it would play in the coming battle. The aliens had never seen anything like this level of fleet coordination. "Sir, the human ships are moving too fast," reported the Worldbreaker's sensor operator. "Our targeting systems can't lock onto them, Admiral." Vexmore watched in horror as the human fleet seemed to dance around his ships. The human vessels moved with impossible grace, anticipating every move the aliens made. "Fire all weapons," Vexmore ordered. The space battle that followed would be remembered throughout galactic history, not for the reasons Admiral Dexmore expected. The first energy beams from the Vorthok fleet streaked across space toward the human ships. Brilliant blue and green lances of destruction that could melt through the hull of any known starship. Admiral Dexmore watched with satisfaction as his weapons reached their targets, but something impossible happened. The human ships seemed to know exactly where each beam would strike. They moved with fluid grace, dancing between the deadly energy streams like leaves in the wind. Not a single shot found its mark. "It's impossible," Dexmore muttered. "No ship can move that fast." "Sir, the human vessels are somehow predicting our firing patterns," reported his weapons officer. "They're moving before we even fire." On the bridge of the Leviathan, Lieutenant Bae Soo-jin monitored the battle through the ship's advanced sensor network. Every human vessel was connected to the central intelligence system, sharing information faster than any organic mind could process. "The alien weapons are using predictable targeting algorithms," she reported to Captain Yoon Sung-min. "Array has already calculated every possible firing solution they can achieve." "Excellent," Yoon Sung-min replied. "Begin phase 2 of the demonstration." The human fleet suddenly changed formation. Instead of continuing to dodge, they began moving directly toward the alien ships. This aggressive maneuver caught Admiral Dexmore completely off guard. "They're charging straight at us," Commander Vexka said in disbelief. "Are they insane?" "All ships, concentrate fire on the approaching vessels," Vexmore ordered. But Dave made a fatal mistake. Vorthok fleet unleashed everything they had. Hundreds of energy weapons fired simultaneously, creating a wall of destruction that no ship could possibly survive. The space between the fleets became a blazing inferno of deadly radiation, but the human ships passed through the barrage untouched. Their hulls seemed to absorb the energy attacks, glowing brighter with each hit they took. What should have been fatal damage only made them stronger. Chief Engineer Kim Hae-won smiled as she watched the energy readings on her display. "Adaptive armor is working perfectly, Captain. We're converting their weapons fire into additional power for our systems." "Ow. Is this possible?" More demanded of his science officer. "Sir, the human ships appear to be using some kind of reactive armor that adapts to incoming damage. The more we shoot at them, the more resistant they become." The human fleet reached the alien formation and began weaving between the massive Vorthok warships. The smaller human vessels moved with incredible precision, avoiding the larger ship's defensive weapons while targeting specific weak points. "They're going for our engine sections," reported the Worldbreaker's tactical officer. "Our point defense systems can't track targets moving that fast." One by one, the Vorthok ships began losing power as the human fighters disabled their engines with surgical precision. The aliens' massive advantage in size and firepower meant nothing when they couldn't hit their targets or maneuver their ships. In the Galactic Council chambers, the emergency session watched the battle unfold in stunned silence.
Graphic.
Displays showed the systematic dismantling of the galaxy's most powerful fleet by ships that shouldn't even exist. "This changes everything," whispered Queen Zilara. "If the humans can defeat the Vorthok this easily, no species in the galaxy is safe." Chancellor Rixdal stood frozen at his podium, watching his people's mighty fleet being reduced to floating scrap metal. The reptilian leader's scaled hands trembled as he realized the full scope of humanity's deception. "Get me a direct line." To the human captain, he ordered. Back in the Sol system, Captain Yoon Sung-min received the incoming transmission from the Galactic Council. He gestured for his crew to continue the demonstration while he spoke with the alien leaders. "This is Captain Yoon Sung-min of the Earth vessel Leviathan," he said formally. "Captain, this is Chancellor Rixdal of the Galactic Council. A request. An immediate ceasefire." "Very well," Yoon Sung-min replied. "All human vessels stand down but maintain formation." The space battle stopped as suddenly as it had begun. The human ships pulled back to defensive positions, leaving the crippled Vorthok fleet floating helplessly in space. Not a single alien. The ship had been destroyed, but none of them could move or fight effectively. "Oppressive restraint," Chancellor Rixdal said carefully. "You could have destroyed our entire fleet." "Destruction was never our goal," Yoon Sung-min replied. "We wanted to demonstrate that the galaxy's understanding of human capabilities was incomplete." Director Park Min-ho's voice came through a Secura. "Channel from Earth. Captain, you have permission to reveal the full scope of our preparations." Yoon Sung-min nodded and activated a new set of sensor displays. The readings showed energy signatures appearing throughout the Sol system. One by one, 6 more massive ships began emerging from hidden positions. "Chancellor, I'd like you to meet the rest of Earth's defense fleet," Yoon Sung-min said. The holographic display in the council chambers updated to show the new contacts. Each ship was similar in size to the Leviathan, though with different configurations and capabilities. The aliens watched in horror as humanity revealed not one supercarrier, but 7. "Impossible," breathed General Vexstar of the Iron Legion. "How did they hide so many ships?" "We didn't hide them," Yoon Sung-min explained. "We built them in places you never thought to look. One under Antarctica, another in the asteroid belt, a third in orbit around Jupiter. We've been preparing for this day for decades." Admiral Dexmore's voice came through weakly from his damaged flagship. "How many ships can you produce?" "Carrier can manufacture 50,000 vessels per day," Yoon Sung-min replied matter-of-factly. "We have 7 carriers. Do the math."
Aye.
The implications hit the galactic leaders like a physical blow. Humanity could produce more ships in a week than most civilizations built in a century. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted completely. "What do you want from us?" Chancellor Rixdal asked, his voice hollow with defeat. "Nothing more than what we've always wanted," Yoon Sung-min replied. "Peaceful coexistence and mutual respect. We never sought to dominate anyone. We simply wanted to ensure that no one could dominate us." Dr. Han Yujin's voice joined the conversation from the Leviathan Science Section. "We've learned much from studying galactic technology over the past 30 years. We're prepared to share some of our advances with species that approach us in friendship, and those who approach with hostility." Queen Zilara asked nervously. "Find that Earth is no longer the easy target they once believed," Yoon Sung-min said firmly. The space around Earth now contained 8 massive human supercarriers and hundreds of thousands of escort vessels. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying to the alien observers. Humanity had revealed their masterstroke. They hadn't just built better ships or more advanced weapons. They had revolutionized the very concept of space warfare itself. The galaxy would never be the same. 6 months after the revelation of Earth's hidden fleet, Kim Dae-ho walked through the corridors of the rebuilt Galactic Council Station. The hallways that once echoed with alien voices discussing humanity's primitive nature now buzzed with a very different kind of conversation. Delegates from across the galaxy spoke in hushed tones about trade agreements, technology exchanges, and diplomatic partnerships with Earth. The same species that had threatened to destroy humanity now competed for favorable relations with the upstart. World God Kim Do-ho entered the great crystal dome that housed the council chambers. The seating arrangement had changed dramatically. Where Earth's representative once stood alone in the center, a new section had been constructed. The human delegation now occupied seats equal to those of the major galactic powers. Chancellor Rixdal approached Kim Do-ho before the session began. The proud Vorthok leader looked older than he had 6 months ago. His scales had lost some of their shine, and his yellow eyes showed a wariness that hadn't been there before. Representative Kim. I hope today's discussions will prove productive for both our peoples, Rixdal said carefully. I'm sure they will, Chancellor, Kim Do-ho replied with a diplomatic smile. Earth has always been interested in peaceful cooperation. The irony was not lost on either of them. 6 months ago, Rixdal had threatened to destroy Earth's entire civilization. Now he was practically begging for favorable trade terms, Queen. Zilara of the hive mind approached their small group. Her mandibles clicked in what the translators interpreted as nervous energy. Representative Kim, the hive mind has completed our analysis of the agricultural technologies you shared with us. The results are remarkable. I'm glad to hear that, Kim Do-ho said. Earth believes that sharing knowledge benefits everyone. Indeed, Zilara agreed quickly. We would very much like to discuss expanding our technology exchange program. Of the Nexary resonated with musical tones that conveyed both respect and anxiety. The crystalline matrices you provided have advanced our computing systems by decades. We are most grateful. Kim Do-ho nodded politely to each alien leader. It was amazing how quickly attitudes could change when the balance of power shifted. These same beings had looked down on humanity as primitive savages. Just months ago, the session began with Chancellor Rixdal calling for order. The first item on the agenda was the establishment of new trade routes through human-controlled space. Earth's strategic location and advanced manufacturing capabilities had made them the most sought-after partner in the galaxy. The Terran Federation has agreed to establish manufacturing facilities in the Outer Rim territories. Kim Do-ho announced to the Assembly, these facilities will produce goods for distribution throughout the galaxy. Ambassador Thokran of the brutal clans stood to address the chamber. The massive warrior looked uncomfortable in the diplomatic setting. The clans would like to discuss security arrangements for these new facilities. Earth appreciates the clan's offer, Kim Do-ho replied. However, our own security forces are more than adequate for the task. The subtle reminder of Earth's military superiority was not lost on anyone in the chamber. The human fleet had grown even larger since the initial revelation. Reports suggested that Earth now possessed over 20 supercarriers, each one capable of producing vast armadas of advanced warships in the Sol system. Captain Yoon Seung-min stood on the observation deck of the newest addition to Earth's fleet. The vessel was named Prometheus, and it represented the next generation of human manufacturing technology. While the Leviathan had been designed for war, Prometheus was built for peace. The medical fabrication bays are operating at full capacity, reported Chief Engineer Kim Hae-won. We're producing enough medical supplies to treat entire star systems. Xet, Yoon Seung-min replied. How are the educational facilities progressing? The virtual reality training systems are online, Kim Hae-won said. We can now provide advanced education to any species in the galaxy, regardless of their biological limitations. This was humanity's new strategy. Instead of using their technological superiority purely for military dominance, they were sharing selected advances to improve life throughout the galaxy. The approach was proving remarkably effective at building alliances. Dr. Han Yujin joined them on the observation deck. The elderly scientist had become something of a celebrity throughout the galaxy. Her innovations in automated manufacturing had revolutionized industrial processes on dozens of worlds. "Doctor, how are the new research partnerships developing?" Yoon Sung-min asked. "Better than expected," Dr. Han replied with satisfaction. The Nexari crystalline computing matrices combined with Vorthok energy systems are producing fascinating results. When you add human artificial intelligence to the mix, the possibilities become almost limitless. "Any concerns about sharing our technology?" Kim Hae-won asked. "We're being very selective," Dr. Han assured her. "We share advances that improve quality of life while keeping our most sensitive military technologies secure. It's a careful balance." Back on Earth, Director Park Min-ho worked in his new office overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Through the windows, he could see the construction platforms where humanity's next generation of vessels was being built. The ocean that had once hidden their greatest secret now served as the center of their expanding industrial empire. "Engineer?" Choi Jae-won entered the office carrying a data tablet filled with new designs. The young man had been promoted to head of advanced research after his work on the Leviathan project. "Director, the new exploration vessels are ready for testing," Choi Jae-won reported. "These ships are designed for deep space missions beyond the galactic rim." "Excellent," Park Min-ho said, studying the designs. "It's time for humanity to see what lies beyond the known galaxy." "The alien species are nervous about our expansion," Choi Jae-won noted. "They're worried we might find something they'd rather keep hidden." Park Min-ho smiled. "Let them worry. Humanity has learned the value of keeping secrets. If we discover anything interesting out there, we'll decide what to do with it on our own terms." In the galactic media, human achievements dominated the news cycles. Alien reporters spoke with wonder about Earth's technological marvels and their generous sharing of beneficial technologies. The species that had once threatened humanity now praised them as saviors and innovators. But beneath the diplomatic pleasantries and trade agreements, everyone understood the new reality. Earth had become the galaxy's most powerful civilization. Almost overnight, their manufacturing capabilities, technological innovation, and military strength had fundamentally changed the balance of power. The Galactic Council still existed, but real decisions were increasingly made with human input. Species that wanted to remain relevant in the new order sought Earth's approval for major initiatives. Those who had opposed humanity found themselves isolated and struggling. As the latest council session concluded, Kim Dae-ho walked back to his ship with a sense of satisfaction. Humanity had achieved something remarkable. They had gone from being threatened with extinction to becoming the galaxy's most influential species in less than a year. The other delegates watched him leave, with a mixture of respect, fear, and envy. They had learned a valuable lesson about judging species by their apparent capabilities. Appearances could be very deceiving indeed. In the depths of space, construction continued on humanity's growing fleet. New supercarriers took shape and hidden shipyards while exploration vessels prepared for journeys to unknown regions. The galaxy had seen what humans could accomplish when threatened. Now they would discover what humanity could achieve. When given the freedom to reach for the stars, the age of human expansion had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again.